Welcome to Nach Simanim. I am Jacob Thomas, and today we will be learning Shmuel aleph perek tet zayin. This perek starts by Shmuel, after rejecting Shaul, who's the current king, tries to now find a new king, and he goes to the house of Yishai, who has many sons. First, he sees Eliav, who is tall and impressive and would make a natural leader, and he says, this must be the one. And God says, no, don't look at his appearance. I've seen his heart. Because man usually only looks on the outside, but God sees what is truly inside. And he goes on to the 6 sons. He does not find any of them, and he asks Yishai, "Hey, do you have another son?" He's like, "Yeah, I have this young son. He's out shepherding. You can go find him, but So David arrives, and he has beautiful eyes. He's I don't know how to pronounce this, ruddy, and he's full of a spirit. And God tells Shmuel, arise and anoint him, for this is he who will be king. And Shmuel secretly anoints David, and the spirit of Hashem rests powerfully on David from that day onwards. Now, David comes to the palace because after the spirit of Hashem departs Shaul, he is dark, he is melancholy, and a dark spirit comes and torments him, a form of depression. And his advisors suggest you should have a talented musician come to play harp to bring him relief. So one of the servants recommends David and praises his greatness, his musical talent, his bravery, and his noble character. So Shaul sends for him and loves him greatly. And David plays music every time an evil spirit overtakes Shaul, using music as a form of medicine. So he both becomes the secret king and the king's musician in the same perek. So as a recap, we have Shmuel travels to Yishai to find the next king. He looks at the heart of people to show that as a timeless message that outward appearance is not as important as what is inside. David is anointed, and then David soothes Shaul with the music he uses as a medicine when the king has when the king is no longer calm and becomes tormented by evil spirits. Now we are in perek tet zayin, so just like Zichru, we use an acrobat with large toes. Tet zayin, toes, big-toed acrobat. So Shmuel anoints the big-toed acrobat while he was playing the harp while trying to find his balance ball. So Shmuel anoints the big-toed acrobat. Big-toed acrobat, that reminds us we're in perek tet zayin. And Shmuel anoints him because he represents David. And to remind us how Shmuel was looking for the king after Shaul was rejected, and he finds David, who he may not seem like he would be king, just like an acrobat wouldn't seem like he'd be king, but God has seen within his heart and knows he should become the king. And he's playing the harp, which reminds us that Shaul had lots of torments and evil spirits that befell him, and they got David, who was really good at playing the harp, to use music as the remedy. One more time with the simon. Shmuel anoints the big-toed acrobat while he was playing the harp and looking for his balance ball. Now we're going to do a 4 perek back. Chazara. Note, I've noticed the chazaras have gone really, really long and make the recordings extra long, so I might try to shorten them a little bit. Okay, perek yud bet, we use the 12 tribes. So Shmuel gives his farewell speech before the 12 tribes while it is thundering outside. So this reminds us how Shmuel gathers all the people, tells them that he has not stolen anything from them, rebukes them for wanting a king, and God sent down thunder and lightning and rain during the dry season to tell them that, you've done wrong. Now, perek yud gimel, we use a bar mitzvah boy. So Shmuel rebukes Shaul for allowing the bar mitzvah boy to bring the korban, even though it was his bar mitzvah, which reminds us how Shaul was supposed to wait 7 days for Shmuel to come. On the 7th day, he got impatient and brought the korban Even though he wasn't supposed to, Shmuel comes and rebukes Shaul for doing this, telling him that he will no longer have the kingship. Perek Yudalit, we use a juggler. The king's son juggles swords in celebration as his father makes a vow about honey. This reminds us how Yonatan defeats the Plishtim, leading them to scatter, and Shaul, the king, his father, makes a vow that no one should eat any food until the war's over. Yonatan unknowingly breaks this vow, leading the Rivatum to stop talking to Shaul. So he tries to figure out who it was, learns that it's Yonatan, but was bribed not to kill his son. Now, perek tetvav, which is Tu Vishvat, which we use, a fruit bowl. Shmuel rejects Shaul after he spared the king of fruit bowls. This reminds us how Shmuel gave Shaul the commandment to wipe out all of Amalek. He won and defeated them in war, but spared the sheep and King Agag of Amalek. And Shmuel comes and rebukes Shaul, telling him that he will no longer be king. Now we are going to do an 8+1 question pop quiz. In which perek is Shaul officially rejected and the robe is torn? Perek Tedvav. In which perek does Shmuel secretly anoint David as the future king? Perek Tet Zion. In which perek does Yonatan unknowingly break his father's oath by eating honey? Perek Yudalit. In which perek does Shaul unlawfully bring the sacrifice and lose his dynasty? Perek Yud Gimel. In which perek does David play harp to calm Shaul's tormented spirit? Perek Tet Zion. In which perek does Shmuel declare that obedience to God is better than sacrifice to God? Perek Tetvav. In which perek do we have Shmuel's farewell speech where he asks, "Have I ever taken a bribe?" Perek Yud Beis. In which perek does Yonatan climb a cliff to miraculously attack the Plishtim? Perek Yudalad. Shoftim bonus question. In which perek do we have the Levi sending pieces of his wife to the 12 tribes? Perek Yud Tet. That is it for today. May we be zoche to finish all of Nach, one perek at a time, and remember it day after day. Have a wonderful day.